Alright guys, so for today's video what I would like to discuss is the idea of talent. And I want to preface this by saying two things. One is that for anybody who has ever made a comment or given any kind of a compliment to me saying that I'm talented, I want to thank you very much for any of those compliments. Thank you. I don't take that lightly. I consider that to be the fact that any of you would ever make the effort to tell me that, or anyone would ever compliment anybody and say that they're talented. I am not saying that that's not a valid compliment, that and me personally, I don't take that lightly. That means a lot to me, and I'm sure it means a lot to anybody that's ever heard that. Now, the other thing I want to say is that I do think talent is, to some extent, talent is accessible, or talent. There are those who do have a talent for something, and especially because we're talking about music, I do think that there are people who do have talent in music that, for those people, there are certain things musically that may make a little bit more sense to them. They seem to grasp ideas a little bit better. They pick up on an instrument a little bit quicker. So I do acknowledge that there are cases out there where this is definitely something that is present. Now, what I'm going to base this on, for me, it's going to be based on my perception, my journey through music, and what I feel, and what I think happens for a lot of people, actually. So the title of this is Obsession versus Talent, and as you saw through the thumbnail that was put, I have no talent. Early on, for me, musically, I started with the trumpet. So, as with anybody that was in band, maybe you put in a lot of practice and maybe you did not. I did not put in a lot of practice. However, things seemed to still come to me fairly easy, so it wasn't too terribly difficult for me to keep up at the level that I had attained through early practice. Because I think a lot of us, when we start playing an instrument, we get to some degree obsessed with it and really into it, so we practice it a lot, and then that drops over time. So for me, whatever that I had managed to build over a year or two managed to stay with me pretty easily, and I think that that's similar to riding a bike. There's certain things that you just lock on to, and I found myself being able to make progress pretty easily when I put in minimal amounts of effort. And that is not a boasting or a bragging statement. If you take that into a bigger context, if I would have only put some more time into what I was doing, man, I couldn't imagine where I would have gotten with that. So to some degree, I think maybe there was a bit of it that was a little bit easier for me to pick up on, and that's why I was drawn to it so much. Now, let's get to what I feel is really the main thing in my case, which is the obsession. The trumpet is something that I didn't really stick with. Once I graduated out of high school, I stopped playing the trumpet, and then I started to become more and more involved in the guitar, because, of course, that's what I went to college for. I started playing guitar when I was around 14, and I started playing trumpet when I was 11. So the guitar was much more interesting to me than the trumpet, just because of the style of music that I was into. Although in some respects, I overlapped the two. Anyways, so with the guitar, there were some things that maybe picked up a little bit easier for me. Like I managed to develop a few things maybe a little bit quicker just because of playing the trumpet, but the big thing for me was how obsessed I was with playing the guitar. I was incredibly obsessed with it. As soon as I'd come home from school, boom, right to the guitar. I would take a break just for a little bit to work on my homework, and then I would go right back into playing the guitar, hours and hours and hours. I had no idea what I was doing. I didn't have a teacher, but I was watching a lot of VHS tapes of people that I really enjoyed listening to. I was listening constantly and trying to figure out as much as I could, and just playing around with the instrument, trying to explore it. And there was a few things I was picking up here and there from, at the time, it was Guitar World magazine, and Guitar One magazine was still out. And I did have a buddy that played guitar, and there's a few things that he showed me to make things a little bit easier. But I was incredibly obsessed with the guitar. So for me, I really believe in the beginning stages it was all about being obsessed with the instrument. I don't think in my case it had anything to do with talent, because I've seen people, I know people that managed to pick up the guitar or any other instrument that managed to put in minimal amounts of effort into it and can increase their abilities dramatically. I cannot do that. I mean, there's a lot of things that I've learned over the years, so to some degree I can do, I can pick up on things faster now. Of course, any of us can if we work on something long enough. You start to make connections. But I've encountered a handful of people that are able to just like that, they can pick up on things. I can't do that. I have to practice very small amounts of information, very small amounts of material, repetitively over and over and over and over for large amounts of time for it to really sink in. Most of the time that's what it is for me. So in my case, it's not a talent thing at all. It's all about being obsessed. I was so obsessed with guitar, wanting to be the best that I could be. Now, in my view, if I did have the talent mixed with the obsession, then I couldn't even imagine where I would be at, level-wise, how much I would understand music better or my capabilities on the guitar. So, like I said earlier, though, I do think that there's some degree of talent for people, and I think that there's a smaller amount of people that do have a talent, and there's a larger basis, a group that their ability to excel at an instrument is all based on the obsessive component of just hanging in there and pushing day after day after day and wanting to be the best that they can, no matter what those hurdles become. They continue to, they get knocked down and then they just keep going again and again and again. So that's my view on talent. I think that it does get used quite often, and it does get overused to some degree, at least in my opinion, because really, as many people can attest, it's about being consecutive in your practice, having consecutive amounts of work taking place, like consecutive days of practice, being dedicated to it, and really having a strong sense of focus on what you're trying to excel at on the instrument. So I want to thank you guys for watching. Please don't forget to subscribe and check out my other videos. I just, this week, a little side note, I'm getting ready to head to Philly, as you may have seen me posting here and there if you follow what I do. I'm heading to Philly on Monday to perform at Chris's Jazz Cafe, so I'm really excited about that, so I've been working on that. I do have some more lesson videos that I'm going to be putting together soon. The composing part has went off to the side a little bit, but once I get back from Philly, I'm going to be hitting back into all that pretty strong. Thanks, guys, for watching. Thanks for all your support, and have a great day.